the question I have is that you see a lot of these business models or solutions, like the one that you were describing, but they always seems to be very localized, very small, very successful, small example. And you seldom see what you can see in other industries, like in technology or else, like that if you discover a good business model, it explodes. Like, for example, I don't know, I can think of YouTube or Google or Facebook or either, I mean, even in the United States, some franchises, food franchises like Moe's or Subway or something like that. But in this case, in the case of a business model of sustainability or to combat the emissions and everything, we're talking about always small, very successful examples, but they don't spread beyond that. So I guess that the question is, in your organic agriculture example in Egypt, why isn't it seems that it's not being replicated or it hasn't spread way more in other countries?
Organic agriculture and sustainable agriculture grow at a path of about 20 to 30% per year in the world, everywhere in the world. Okay? It's the fastest growing segment of the organic food, of the food system in the world. Whereas food is stagnating in many countries or is going even down in GDP contribution, it's going up. Areas of organic agriculture are growing at 20 to 30%. The question is, why are there few big international corporations doing this development? I think is linked to the special nature of agriculture. Special nature of agriculture, it's a local thing. It is very much depending on local circumstances, local communities, local soils, temperatures, crops, markets. And I think that the international organic movement is linked, is working together, is inspiring its members. And I think that over the next years, the day when we will be able to verify the statement that organic is going to be cheaper than conventional food and agricultural products, that many of the big players will enter into this development, and we will see also a development of big international corporations in the field. But at the moment, we are still in a niche, and we are in the mood of being in a niche. You know, expensive, not sufficient, not enough products, which I think is not true, but we need to prove it, and this is the work we have to do. And we discussed today in the morning that we hope that discussions like the ones in Cancun, where agriculture is not part of the climate treaty, will help us to do this by putting agriculture as part of the climate discussions, and hence giving them a chance to get money for doing the right thing and stopping climate change, and this would fuel the whole development of organic agriculture.
Can I add to that?
Yes, of course.
So perhaps to add to that, and not only for the example Helmi gave, but in general about scaling of solution and projects which you talked about. Two important topics. I think one, you talked about, Scott, about policy and regulation. So I think I see that a lot in the electricity sector, where the utility companies are very nervous to operate in an environment where there's no certainty about what's going to happen. So I think with policy and regulation, there's a lot we can do. What can we do to put policy and regulation in place so that there are incentives for the utility companies to make these kind of investments? And then I think you will see acceleration. Other important area, Alberto, is standards. I think where you see open industry-based standards, you see innovation, your investments are protected, and you can really see drive behind that. So that's, for example, in the smart grid area, there's a lot of focus now on building standards globally. There's a good leadership there from the US with the National Institute of Standards and Technology to drive a common set of standards across this whole technology domain.
Okay, and let me stay with you about the subject that you were talking about, the modernizing the electric system or the smart grid. What exactly is that? And more importantly, how much of investment is for a poor country? I mean, I'm thinking here of billions of dollars.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, first of all, I think when you look at the electricity system, it was, I'm not an electrical engineer, but it was developed in a time where big centralized systems, where energy is flowing, is produced in big plants, and it's then transmitted to the millions of end users. In what we talk about here, you talk about integration of renewables, people starting to produce their own electricity and sell it back into the grid. What we need is an electricity environment almost compared with what happened in IT, from mainframes to a very distributed network kind of environment where you bring it very close to the user. That's what needs to happen with the electricity system to enable the integration of intermittent energy resources for you to be able to sell back your electricity in the grid for electric vehicles, which the Siemens person earlier talked about. I think you need a very different kind of environment with much more intelligence into that grid environment. Now, your question about the investment, what we often forget is that utility companies invest billions, if not trillions a year, in expanding their infrastructure. And these investments they do last for 10, 20, 30 and more and even longer, right? So if we care about the fact that in not too long of a future we want to massively integrate millions of electric vehicles with all of the complexities which were also mentioned in the previous panel, then you better start using some of the investments you're doing now to do them in the right way. I think we often forget CFE, one example here in Mexico, is investing a lot in expanding and upgrading the network. What can you do to use those investment dollars to get immediately a modernized electric system?
Okay.
Were you cut short?
I just got yelled at.
Oh, okay.
No, not at all. Is there any example of a country that is actually having a perfect, good, modernized?
Now, with smart grid, often people ask around the world, where is a smart grid happening? It's happening everywhere, because people, when you ask that question, you think that smart grid is one thing you can pull off a shelf. It's about modernizing the whole value chain from generation to end use. And there are examples of that all over the world, right? I'm always biased because I know, of course, the ones with my company better, right? Had you an Accenture guy been sitting here, you get another example. But for example, I'm from Europe, in the Mediterranean country in Malta, small country, 400,000 people only, but they implementing a fully integrated electricity and water smart grid for the entire country, for many, many reasons. They are a new entry into the EU. They want to become a knowledge economy. How can we attract talent? And how can a modernized electric system contribute to that? They produce the electricity for 90% by dirty oil, right? So how can we address that topic? How can we start integrating renewables and electric vehicles? Their water is coming for 50% from desalination out of the Mediterranean. Very electricity intensive process to distribute and desalinate the water. So if they can reduce through a smart water grid the leakage of water, again an enormous impact on electricity. But there are examples like that. IBM, for example, is involved in 150 projects currently around the world on smart grid, and a large of my business growth is coming from smart grid. So for me, it is scaling, and for many of my colleagues in other ICT companies also. But this is real.
Okay, and the floor is open for questions. If anyone have a question, just raise a hand. Well, there you go. And where's the mic? Where's the microphone? Over there. That's one mic and the other one. So, yeah, please. If you can stand up, introduce yourself and do the question, and it can be in Spanish if you want to.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Edison Santos. I'm from Dominican Republic, and I would like to support Mr. Helmi Abolish about the sustainable agriculture. And I want to mention that because of the question that you make him, we have an example that we are doing sustainable agriculture in the Dominican Republic. We have this, as we call, sustainable business model, where we are reforesting the mountains with macadamia trees. Macadamia trees are good to catch the CO2. It retains the augmentation in the soil. In that way, we avoid the erosion of the soil. But we create, with the help of specialists from other countries, the specific and scientific variety, the macadamia, that fits or adapt to our land. In that way, we give the trees to the farmers, they reforest the mountains, and we assure them to buy the production. We take it to the plant and we sell it as a sustainable product, but with the specific information that we make the awareness to the clients or the customers that their money is not going to be a expense in alimentation, but it's going to be transformed, that expense in alimentation, into an investment in social and environmental solutions. And it's true, because the money that they are paying for the nuts, we have to pay it to the farmers. But the farmers have to reforest the mountains with a tree. The idea is that as the market grows, is proportionally to the reforestation in the mountains. Because if it's tomorrow we have to export the nuts, we have to reforest more mountains. And my question at the end is, what method or calculator are you using for the water and carbon footprint, so you can transmit that information to the clients? Because we will be interested in know if we can do the same in our product. Thank you.
Should we answer directly?
Yeah.
The carbon footprint we use is developed by TÜV. According to TÜV is a German organization, and it is a methodology which is acknowledged according to a new FCCC methodology. So it allows us to get verified emission reduction certificates, VERs, and it goes with our products from the start in the farm to the shelf. Interestingly, this is another discussion, but interestingly, the real use and carbon emission of products very often is mainly happening with the consumer. Not on our side, but the car he's using to go to the supermarket, the washing machine he's cleaning our t-shirt in, are using often more CO2 than we use from agriculture to the client. But anyhow, this is another discussion. On water, we use a Dutch the methodology developed by a Dutch university. I can provide you with information. It's Delft.
Thank you. There were some questions over here. The lady here, please.
Stick.
Thank you very much. Sandra Herrera from the Ministry of Natural Resources here in Mexico. I would like to ask Mr. Abulish about what do you think between the future of the organic agriculture and the GMOs?
As you may know, organic agriculture does not use GMOs. And we are, in the organic movement, up till now, very open to see research going on in the field, but we are not secure enough about current results of what we have seen in the GMO field. So we are open to see, but we are not yet using it because we don't think that it's sufficiently researched from this side. From the other side, we believe that with our own seed breeding and with our own seedlings and with our own system, we can achieve better yields and better incomes for our farmers than those achieved by our competitors using GMO seeds and products.
Thank you. All the questions seems to be here on the center part. Okay.
I'm Arunav Mukherjee from Tata in India, and my question is for the gentleman from IBM. Would you please give us some details on how the smart grid in Malta is being financed?
So that's not a small company, Tata, in a lot of businesses, among others ICT. So it has had a loan guarantee from the European Union as part of entry into the EU. But it is at the same time a project which is completely self-financing. So the benefits which are being accomplished over the next couple of years in terms of integration of renewables, the better information to consumers to reduce their electricity usage, and clearly in the future impact on CO2. So, but the EU played an important role there in terms of the loan guarantee they gave for the project. If you're interested, it's public information. I can give you more detail.
Good. Any questions? Is there anyone?